Hello and welcome. Apologies for a slightly odd introduction to this video. Normally we would come in with the beginning of the stream, and it would essentially be a pretty, well, exact just copy of what we had live streamed on Twitch. Unfortunately, we had some technical issues with our last live stream. We're still trying out new stuff. We're still very early on into the stream, and we're finding out just what the limits of what our PCs can do. And, technology sometimes has a brain fart. So during the stream, we unfortunately had a crash, and we were able to get it up very quickly again. A massive thank you to Keth, who basically runs the stream on our end, who was able to, in less than minutes, get everything sorted out again, and we were back streaming live. It was fantastic. Those of you who did watch us live and watch these YouTube videos, amazing for you guys to stay with us. But it did have the one major problem that a majority of the stream, which we were recording, unfortunately became corrupted. We tried our very best to recover what we could, but the audio was all we could get out of it, and it was very, very bad quality. A lot of effort was put into there, nothing we can do about it. And so there is just this introduction on my part to give a brief rundown on everything that happened during the session up until the last hour or so, which is what we were able to recover after the crash. We know you perhaps would have enjoyed hearing our entire stream, but this is the best we can offer, and we can consider this one of our lost communes with the GM, if you will. But to give you that brief explanation on what did happen, we picked it back up exactly where we had left off the last time, which was with the players sitting around the fireplace, drying themselves up and warming, or drying themselves off and warming themselves up, before discussing what their next steps were going to be. They ummed and ahed and argued about who they were going to see or where they might go or whether they might just kind of kick in for the night. And they finally agreed that they were going to go and see Rolt, the last known victim of the gangs who travel around Storia at the night, especially since they figured out they could kill two birds with one stone, and also go and see the kind of only merchant in the town, who was Palmer, Rolt living in an apartment above Palmer's shop. So they travelled out to the edge of the village, and they spoke with Palmer first, who was nice enough to give them some details about the recent attacks, the changes that have happened in the village, and this kind of slow decline into this strange cultishness that is appearing amongst some of the citizens. They also got some details about what happened to Rolt, though not very many. And during this conversation, Geronimo spotted someone who seemed to be watching them from the shadows. So it passed, and they quickly moved on to speak to Rolt, who was upstairs and distrusted them at first, but they were able to win his confidence and find out more about the exact circumstances that led up to him being attacked. Most importantly, that he'd actually been speaking ill, if you will, of the headsman just prior to his assault, and since then had basically given up hope of a normal life again, but didn't have anywhere else to go and was just crashing out in Storia until, well, whatever happened, happened. The party actually very kindly offered a place with them if they were to leave Storia. Rolt was disbelieving, but if the party do decide to move on and have space for Rolt, they might bring him along. Once they'd left Rolt's, they actually encountered that figure that Geronimo spotted before, a half-elf by the name of Reginald D. Martins, who introduced himself as a hunter. An odd confrontation, to say the least, especially since he said that he was actually hunting Geronimo. This caused some confusion, as the rest of the party weren't really sure why Geronimo might be hunted, and in some explanation, Geronimo brought up his past and told the others about the fact that he was actually on the run from the company he used to work for, having stolen a very new, very important, and very much still fundamental and in the planning stages artifact that he called here Geronimo's unliving nozzle or gun. Strangely, the hunter took them all for a drink and explained that basically the price on Geronimo's head was, I believe, 500,000 gold. And obviously, this is huge. The party were also in disbelief, and the hunter explained that because of the vast amount of money, he was basically just checking that it existed before he even considered trying to attack Geronimo, and in the meantime was introducing himself and just getting to know Geronimo. This generated some awkward conversations and a moment in which, well, the hunter was almost attacked first in the tavern, but the players decided to call it off at the last minute, partly because of that sense of maybe not starting a fight in public. The other half, honestly, being them OOCly, realizing that perhaps at first level, killing a character that had been described over and over again as looking like something of a machine was probably not a sensible move, which I applauded them for. They decided to settle in for the night, and Brannon read a letter from his sister, which was slightly odd, and he still hasn't figured out what's not quite right with it yet. But during their downtime, they heard some strange noises and shouting from down by the docks. Moving to investigate, they found one of the gangs in the middle of the night around a figure in the dirt, and they approached. This gang moved away from the figure, who was left prostrate on the ground and not moving, and the gang came towards them, making this chant over and over again about the tide. Suspecting this to be something malign or something quite evil, they launched themselves into combat, and that is unfortunately where the stream crashed. As I said, we brought it back very quickly, but the recording's a bit funny. So what you're going to see now, going forwards, will be us returning kind of to those first few rounds of combat. You haven't actually missed anything. I believe we come back in as Barond, the Barbarian, has just charged forwards, activating his rage or becoming enraged, and swinging his axe into one of the cultists just after Durgus has thrown a hand axe into another and rolled a crit, I believe. But with all of that, you should have all of the details of everything that happened in this session. I hope you don't mind that we have this introduction. I apologize again for the technical issues. We shouldn't have them again. And I hope you enjoy. With his great axe, as he began to froth at the mouth and rage away, I believe I was just confirming if Baron was going to do anything else, and he wasn't, so we just gone to Geronimo.
Cool. Yes. I was just... I need to remember what I was just doing.
You are 30 feet off the board, and so I reminded you if you were going to go forward, your 25 feet movement, essentially measure from Durgus and add 5 feet, and that's the distances for you.
All right, Geronimo was going to move forward, and he wasn't going to go too far. He's going to go maybe 15 feet towards Durgus. He's going to look around, in particular, for any small stones that may be on the ground.
Oh, there's loads of them all over the place.
So he's going to pick one up, and whilst holding onto his wrench and summoning and saying a few words underneath his breath, he would utilize catapult on it to send it towards this guy.
Yeah, absolutely fine. I believe you make a ranged spell attack for catapult.
Let me just... it says it's a dex saving throw, but...
in which case it's a dex saving throw. What's your spell save DC?
I'm just going to... I mean, I don't know what this is, but I think that's just the damage.
Yeah, that's fine. No damage, but it's in there. Yeah, dex saving throw. So what is your... Oh, your DC's 13.
Yeah.
Let's go to dex saving throw.
Oh, your DC's 13?
It's first level, dude. That was a nat 1. So there is just a splat as Durgus, over your shoulder, you feel the rush of wind as this pebble flies at incredible speeds. It hits one of the cultists right between the eyes, and the head explodes like a melon. There is a pause as the body seems to stand up, unaware that it's dead yet, and then it just very slowly collapses forward and hits the ground. 100% dead as Dodo.
Insane. That's,
anything else you'd like to do?
Geronimo's going to stay where he is.
Okay. So you are about 15 feet off the board. Brannon, you're about 30 feet back from Durgus. Just slightly
Brannon is going to charge forward up next to Durgus, so with 35 feet movement.
I shall move you up to there. Yeah, just move yourself up there from the corner.
Oh, yeah, I didn't realise.
There you go.
Bad. Perfect. And then as he arrives, he's going to whip out his spell book and quickly looking through the page, is going to mutter some words under his breath as he casts Magic Missile.
Okay, and who are the targets for your magic missiles?
So he is going to hit the two either side of Baron's, so the one above him and the one directly in front of him. Actually, he's just going to do one on each of the three that's still alive.
One on each of the three? Go for it. Please roll me all those damages.
I believe it should just roll this now.
It'll be pretty hot. That is, I'm seeing some D4s. Okay, so we have a 1, a 3, a 3, and they're all +1. So that's 2, 4, and 4. Where is each missile going, or do you just read down as we go down?
I just read down, so top to bottom.
Okay, so that's there. 4 goes there. And 4 goes there. Okay, so as you read from your spellbook and extend your hand, there is a kinetic thump as each time a magic missile explodes from your hand and flies out in this kind of pirouetting, twirling fashion before crashing one into each of the remaining figures. The furthest figure from Baron and the one that he has just struck himself take a massive crack as they are struck by the blow, and they just fall backwards, their bodies crumpling as if they have just had all of the life knocked out of them. The one in the middle of those three, who as of yet was untouched, takes the hit and growls in pain as they reach up, almost clutching at the wound, before readying themselves to go into combat, seemingly still standing, but 100% you've just killed 2 of them.
Nice. And that's the end of my turn.
Okay, Natara.
Natara is gonna have to move it a tiny bit closer, so maybe like up here? Is that okay?
Well, you're not actually down there, so as I said to the others, that's just kind of where I'm holding you right now on the board, so you can have a turn and stuff. You're actually 30 feet back from Durgus.
Okay,
so essentially anywhere you measure with
Durgus, then.
Yeah, so you can just move next to him, so feel free to drag yourself up to the other side of him.
If I figure out how to drag myself.
Oh, don't worry, I can do that. I'm super clever.
Thank you. Right, and then he's gonna cast Thorn Whip.
Who are you casting Thorn Whip? Oh, I say who? The only one left standing, I'd imagine.
Basically, yes. The only one left standing.
Okay, that is an attack.
Oh. That's a nat 20, guys!
That is a nat 20.
Hopefully the PC don't die. Not again.
I didn't hear a declaration of non-lethal damage. So
No, nor did I.
Whilst you, the player, are hoping for no NPC don't die.
No, PC don't die.
Oh, PC don't die.
Because another nat
NPC.
20, you know? It died last time.
It's true. But no, you definitely have killed this individual as the hand goes forward and a ghostly whip of thorny vines extends. It cracks down across the shoulder of the last remaining cultist, wraps around their neck, and as you yank it back, there is a terrible wrenching and tearing sound, causing a multitude of lesions and cuts to appear around the throat, which just project blood in all directions as they gurgle and fall down very, very dead. And you guys, in a single round of combat, have ended those cultists.
Wow.
And we can all first fight, and we can all already leave the battle board.
Wow.
Yeah, that's it.
Powerful.
Very powerful.
That's what happens when you balance an encounter.
Durgus is going to waddle forwards, walking up to the man whose axe, his axe was in his shoulder, I think, and try to sort of pull it out before spitting down on the half-orc. Right, well, sorry.
I was just saying, an easily recovered axe. Certainly, you get a sight of all of the blood, and in fact, as you step forwards, you can notice that the figure who is currently wrapped around the rock down on the beach there is one you recognize, despite the obvious signs of attack and the brutality of the injuries. The black hair and the dark green skin you recognize as being of Bellic Rang.
Oh, fuck.
My boy Bellic, no.
A fisher boy. No. Right.
Oh, we have fucked up.
And seeing this, Durgus is gonna quickly sort of hobble down, jumping over this little mound of rocks before moving quickly towards the man. He sort of tries to turn him over, like peer into his eyes, see if if there's any sort of semblance of life left.
You can give me a medicine check.
I got a +2.
With
And of course,
12. You check a pulse and check the eyes and can quickly come to the conclusion that Bellic has unfortunately been killed. Perhaps the one comfort you have is you notice an injury towards the back of the head where it looks like a rock that is nearby was used to strike. And given the state of his other wounds, it appears that either he was dealt some painful but not serious injuries before this single strike with the rock killed him, or he was killed and then they dealt the other injuries, suggesting that his suffering at least wasn't prolonged.
Yeah, and he's going to, sort of raise the fingers and sort of push down his eyes to, close them as he rests the man into the sand. He huffs as he gets to his feet, planting his fists on his hips before turning back towards the others. They bloody got Bellic.
Wait, you mean that super nice fisherman guy?
I wouldn't say super nice, but the one who helped us.
Oh dear, they must be in some kind of spell.
That or they're just insane, but he exhales as he peers down into the sand around the man. Did it seem like there were any sort of tracks, perhaps leading anywhere else apart from just this group, like maybe towards the boat or perhaps further up the pier?
Give me a survival check.
Oh.
That's not a good roll, but I have a +4.
A 9. There's definitely a lot of scuffle marks and signs that there was a fight. It appears Bellic went down swinging. Tracks of sand and the like certainly don't lead towards the boat. The boat appears to have been kind of halfway being hauled up. And there's certainly no signs that those who were recently down on the beach had gone up the pier. You can see the marks that clearly suggest that this group came down from the village itself, but you can only see them so far up the mud until they just become lost in the quagmire and muck of a general kind of slippery slope. And you could say with some certainty that you wouldn't be able to track these people beyond this area.
Okay. Well, I guess that's it. I mean, all we can do is really bury him now. And of course, talk to the bloody headsman about this. I mean, that's if you want to talk to him at all after this.
We can bury Bellic, but I'm putting one of these bodies on his doorstep. And Baron would reach down, maybe going to pick up the dwarf and just grab him by the scruff.
Maybe we should check out what they were looking at down on the dock.
Well, they were probably beating the ever-living daylights out of Bellic here. I don't think there was much else.
Geronimo's going to go look. Actually, he's going to just wander off down the docks.
It looks like a wharf in which people might tie up their boats. There's some fish strung out along it. No sign of people having been here recently, at least not this evening.
Seeing nothing, Geronimo scarpers back and goes, yeah, I didn't see anything. So, yeah, maybe you're right this time.
What do you mean this time?
Hey, that was a good fight.
He narrows his eyes quite visibly before sort of peering towards the sand. Look, we can talk about our exploits and, whatever strange plant throwing she did over there after. Look, let's get them buried for now, and, well, let's, I think we need to head back to the tavern, tell, Museum, was it, to keep our head down, maybe lock ourselves in a room. I mean, if they're going after people we've helped, I think we got to deal with this quickly.
Can I just ask something? And correct me if this sounds a little bit out of a bit wacky, but I was just thinking, didn't we tell the headsman and that lady about Bellic, right?
Oh, did we?
I can't remember.
Well, we mentioned a fisherman. I don't think we said his name.
The only reason why I say that is because if they be doing this, then they may just be. Well, I get the feeling that it's.
These people, she gestures at those who lay dead, they're clearly under some kind of spell or brainwashing with the way they were chanting.
Let's see if he's got any notes or anything on them first. I mean, he may have just...
No, that could be good. Yeah, let's check the bodies.
Yeah, Geronimo is going to wander over and help.
Yeah, feel free to. Could someone, let's say Jake, roll me a 3d4, please?
A 3d4 roll.
Yes, please.
Pickled pigs, pickled pigs,
Pickled
Pickled
pigs.
pigs. Pickled
Never
pigs.
again. Never again.
So you find between their persons 3 silvers and 4 coppers.
We're rich.
We're fucking rich.
The treasure starts. Additionally, each seems to be carrying a dagger of varying quality. There's no uniformity to their weapons. One of them, it looks like it was probably just their dinner knife. Another one looks like they actually had quite a fine iron dagger. Other than that, there is their clothes underneath. You find actually the 2 gold pieces that were taken from you on the dwarf. So you can get those back if you like.
Hell yeah.
And finally, in one of the pockets of the half-orc, you see a note that has been hastily scribbled out in very fine handwriting. Go get the orc fisherman, make him pay. No name, no signature, no seal, just those words written out very quickly.
Has anyone got any recognizing handwriting features?
No.
Well, I'm going to go off the fact that Durgus doesn't read much. So while they were doing that, he's going to be burying the body of the poor fisherman friend, trying to do his best, to sort of tuck him into the sand.
Mm-hmm.
Geronimo in particular is going to look for any marks or any sort of like tattoos or some sort of, I guess, spell casting notations on some of the bodies, specifically Bellix first, and then the other kind of, especially the dwarf, I guess.
Give me some investigation, please.
Investigation. Okay. 15.
Okay. With a 15, you check over Bellic at first, and certainly there is no signs of magic using or spell casting. There's no tattoos. There's no insignia or sigils that have been cut into him. There's nothing occult there. Checking the bodies of the cultists, you begin to just kind of pick through them as you had when you were searching them, but this time you dig down through their fairly rotted and sweaty clothes, just checking their bodies. And once more, none of them have any tattoos, none of them have anything on them that would suggest occult or magic, though you do find along the back of the other dwarf, not the one who took your gold, the one with the hooked nose and the pencil moustache, that he actually has a series of barnacles that seem to have fused with the skin of his back.
Oh, it's like Davy Jones. This guy's a crewman of the Dutchman. Geronimo's going to look, and he's going to take out... Let me just double check whether I actually can do this. An inventory... Okay, yeah, he's going to take out a crossbow bolt from his bag, and using the tip, he's going to try and, like, pick away at the barnacles on the back and see if he can gather some.
Yeah, go for it. As you use the tip of a crossbow bolt, almost like as best as you can to try and scalpel some of these things off, you very quickly notice that these things seem to be stuck fairly hard. Like they're not, you can't just kind of slip underneath them and pop them off. They seem to be really, really attached and fused to the flesh. not having come from a background where there was a lot of fishing at all, you have no idea if this is how barnacles are supposed to behave. But it forces you to actually kind of cut underneath the flesh and take a little bit of the skin in the back with it. But you're able to do so.
Drum's going to take and kind of put it into his rucksack and look towards Natara in particular and goes, hey, Goggles, can you come here a sec? There's something super weird on this guy's back.
Oh, she says, and walks up to Geronimo. What's the matter? She says and looks over the back.
Well, I was just thinking to myself that if these guys were part of some sort of cult, that they'd have some sort of, kind of written stuff on them, some sort of magic to kind of make them all like...
Aye.
And he kind of holds up his hands kind of spookily and go, all culty. But this guy in particular, he's got some like, what are they, like, they grow on rocks and stuff. I've seen them somewhere, but we don't get them much around Cogwheel. Just wanted to know if this is normal for people.
Natara, she's gonna look over the barnacles. I'd assume she'd know what this is.
You know what a barnacle is.
Yeah. Oh, these are barnacle. They grow on ships and rocks and sometimes marine life.
Yeah, but he ain't marine life. He's a
No.
dwarf.
Aye, which would suggest that they've been in water for a very long time.
They've
Usually.
been in water.
Aye, it would suggest that if barnacles have been growing on them.
Huh. That's kind of odd. Surely if he's been in water for a long time, then he may drown or...
Aye, you'd think so, wouldn't you?
Yeah, and he kind of like shivers a little bit at the thought of sort of like someone being kept in like a tank.
Natara's gonna go over and check over the other bodies to see if there are any more barnacles on them.
No, Geronimo did a fairly good job. You do double check, but they don't have any signs of barnacles or sea life having grown on them. It seems to be just this dwarf.
I took a sample so we can analyze it maybe, but I don't know. I just thought it was kind of weird.
It is very weird. Aye.
Anyways, what are we gonna do with the rest of these bodies? Are we gonna just bury them or what? I mean, technically we've killed some people.
We can't just leave them here. I mean,
Say we take them to the headsman.
aye, I'd say we do
we can
that.
take one, but the rest we just throw into the pier, I see.
No, these were
This-
somebody's loved one. We don't know that. We can't do that.
Did you see?
I'll be honest. We've already got a bit of a reputation here, or at least we're gaining one. So whatever we do, we just have to be careful.
Aye, but
No one else is around. I mean,
no, but getting rid of
we just throw this
bodies.
away. Look, we're burying one, and he was the nice one. These ones are the murderers. I mean, we just throw them off, let them live with their tide or whatever vile
Well,
thing. they
or
were
we
burying
could
down there.
take them to the headsman, let them know what's going on, that we were attacked by these and what they were
What,
chanting.
and why is police force? You think he's going to respond well to that? Oh yeah, look, we've killed 4 of your mates.
Yeah, I'm a little bit nervous about doing that too. I mean, it's our word against his. He could just turn around and say, "We murdered these guys. They had nothing wrong." But I think
You're not wrong.
I think what's more important is this barnacle. Maybe we can, I don't know, make some more friends in the town. I mean, either way, we gotta get out of here. That bounty hunter is gonna be around, and he knows exactly where we're staying.
Aye.
Oh, I mean, did you find anything else apart from that bloody, snail thing?
It's not a snail, it's a shell.
Nah, whatever.
No, I didn't find anything else. There's nothing else that's on him. But
Not even a letter or anything along those lines.
hit, nudge, nudge. You found the letter. Someone.
It was you, wasn't it?
No, I didn't find the letter.
It was a general party consensus to search the
Oh, okay.
bodies, and so I didn't say who specifically found the letter. So one of you may take ownership of the letter.
Okay, well, Geronimo is just gonna like lift up his hand and go, "I didn't find no letter," and then in his left hand is sort of stuck this letter, and he goes, "Oh wait, I found one." He's gonna peel it off his hand and hand it towards Durgus to have a read.
Yeah, and he's gonna walk forwards, having buried the body of poor. Forgot his name now. I feel bad. I've got it written in my notes somewhere, but yeah, he's gonna take the note and he's gonna sort of open it up the wrong way and flip it upside down and squint as he tries to read it over. Well, it's awfully fancy handwriting. I mean, it's not a bit incriminating if I do say so myself. Look, how about we head back to the tavern? We speak with Vizim. Tell her, to keep her head down, maybe lock a door. I mean, she's probably seen his handwriting before as well, right? Make sure it's the headsman, then, we march up there and, give him a bit of rough and tumble.
We should go there anyway. He'll either deny the letter or...
And aren't we bringing one of the bodies? Perhaps the dwarf with the barnacle?
Exactly.
Want to be walking through town with a dead body?
Oh,
Yeah, I was just about to say. I
we
mean,
could
I may be loopy, but that's kind of weird.
well, wrap him up in something, or Baron can sling him over his shoulder and we just say he's unconscious or something.
I don't even know how I can even begin to explain how bad of an idea that is.
Well, we have to get him there some way, don't we?
Hey,
Look, here's the plan. We take the letter, we say we found it, we say it was fancy, so we assumed it was the headsman, and we're aiming to return it.
Right.
We don't mention the bodies, we don't mention, any of this.
So we're just gonna
We don't have
leave
to.
them right here.
Well, no, we throw them into the sea.
I'm more agreeing with that one. Let the problems float away. Maybe they come back and they don't know any different.
I mean, if they wash up on the shore and the next morning, then we just, they'll say they did it to themselves, some sort of crazy cult type.
I kind of disagree. I feel like we got to be honest and be because if we hide this and they come for us, we're in a position of
Just look at this.
I mean, honest to the man who sent this gang to kill some fishermen because he was helping us. He's
We
not
can
our
let-
friend anymore. There's
let-
no
let's-
point in playing
let's
nice.
be frank, even if we are honest, we will be turning up with the dead bodies of two men that we attacked previously at the inn. Maybe not fully, but we did go up to them with some less than friendly intent. And no one else has seen this. No one else has seen what's happened here. And all they're going to have is 4 dead bodies and 5 very healthy people.
Can we not just plead ignorance?
No. No one knows. Yes, ignorance sounds better. No one knows here.
knows they attacked us.
Whilst you're having this argument and this very delayed conversation after multiple people have said, here's the plan, I would like you all to give me perception checks.
oh no,
Uh,
no.
And the trouble of us talking for too long comes up again.
yes.
I mean,
20.
you may think that. I couldn't
5.
possibly
Fucking
comment.
that one.
22.
Your nat one's still better than Brennan's 6.
I have a -1 to it, so
Yeah.
You're the new Ashton.
Yes. You blind.
Okay. So whilst you're having this argument, Tara, Baron, and Geronimo, very faintly, further up into the village, you begin to hear this slow, rhythmic thump. A sound you recognize. It's as if someone is digging. It's just, shovel goes in, thump. There's kind of like a rough grinding sound as the earth is hauled up and dumped. Then another thunk. And this begins very slowly, and you can just about make it out over the sound of the waves and your own argument.
Seem
Hey, does anyone hear that?
I hear it. Seems like we're
Wait,
not the only one
hear
up in the
what?
middle of the night.
Durgus is already sort of grabbing one of these bodies by its boots and dragging it up towards the pier. So, no, you're not going to distract me this time.
Hold on, it sounds like someone's digging, and it wouldn't
Aye.
surprise me if it's a grave for Bellic.
what? Look, no, we're not doing this. We need to leave.
Maybe we should go take a quick look. I'll go take a look. I'll be stealthy, I swear.
Fine, but
Be
we can't be
careful.
near these bodies. We can't be near these bodies.
Yeah. And Geronimo's going to go sneakily move towards where he hears the sound coming from.
You can give me a stealth check. These always go fantastically.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
I'm going to put my hood up. Oh, wait, never mind.
Maybe in the future.
Oh,
A
Oh.
10?
Could be worse.
I need to check me a passive perception.
oh, that's someone's base perception for sure.
It is. What if it's a goblin?
It's true.
It's fine, guys. It's a goblin.
This guy's got really shit wisdom, I swear.
Okay. Geronimo begins to kind of hunch himself down, scamper off up into the village proper. For you guys, most definitely visible. Though Brannon, you managed to lose him whilst you're busy telling Durgus that you need to leave. Geronimo, you head about 60 feet up away from the shore, across this muddy plain towards where the buildings start to come together, and you notice that in a kind of the far corner of this field, there is a lone figure with a shovel just starting to dig a hole. Next to him, there are 3 what look like footlocker-sized chests.
Mm-hmm.
And as you get closer, you recognize him. You clearly recognize him, in fact, as Palmer. Though, yeah, the individual who ran the provisioners. Though, as you get close enough to see him, his head suddenly turns up as if he's heard your feet as you approach. And he just freezes, kind of shovel mid in the air, having just thrown some dirt over his shoulder.
Would I get the feeling that he's seen me?
Oh, most definitely. Like, his face has gone from whatever he was looking at up to you. So even though his features are still kind of in the shadow, he most definitely has turned to look directly at you and is frozen staring at you. There's no kind of suggestion that he's scanning where you might be.
Okay. Damn, he's got a good wisdom. Or just
base perception.
base wisdom, yeah. Geronimo's gonna stand up and look at him and go, hey, what you doing?
Oh, I could ask you the same thing.
Just, went out for some fresh air.
I'm burying these goods.
What goods are you bearing?
A little bit of food, some water.
Does he seem like he's being truthful?
Give me an insight.
Here we go.
Nat one incoming. I have passed the curse. I have passed the curse. Now
Have
you
you
will
though?
know true pain.
Curse of the GM.
It's not
I've
been
got
passed
15,
over.
A 15? Okay, the way he's acting is definitely sketchy. He is withholding something. He is definitely not telling you the whole truth. That much is obvious. Though, whether what he is burying is what he says it is, you have no real way of knowing. That there's no real way of telling, unless you were to open them.
Okay. Geronimo kind of looks at him and kind of perks an eyebrow. Yeah, I don't really buy that story, seeing as you're out here digging in the middle of the night.
Well, I don't believe that you wanted some fresh air. There ain't none round here. All stinks of fish.
Yeah, but have you smelled the inside of the tavern?
Fair.
All right. Oh my god! I suddenly went west. Suddenly went west country. It happens. Yeah. Okay. Well. I guess I'll get going.
Where?
Back to the tavern.
But you didn't come from the tavern. You went down the shore for some fresh air?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'll go back to the tavern now.
Just you.
Yeah, just me.
All right. Have a good night.
Yeah. How about we just don't mention this?
Oi, let's say we don't mention this.
Just keep this between the two of us.
I like that plan.
All right. Toodles. He kind of just scampers away.
There is a very awkward passing ships in the night as he just watches you move towards the tavern, and I assume you watch him as he watches you.
Yeah.
For the rest of you, Geronimo scampers off to investigate. What are you guys doing?
Brandon is immediately going to start helping Durgus deposit these bodies into the water, using his mage hand to kind of help pull one of the bodies along up to the pier.
Yeah, Durgus would he'd sort of like lower them down over the edge as opposed to letting them splash, sort of like depositing them into the water as opposed to just throwing them to try and keep it not super loud and splashy.
There's some splashing, some sploshing.
Natara's gonna. Sorry, go on.
Baron is going to be holding up one of the other bodies to make sure they can't throw that one in as well.
You're keeping one of the bodies at the side.
He's kind of holding it above his head so Durgus can't jump up and grab it.
Okay, and what about Natara?
Natara's gonna look at Baron and say, "Is that the one that had the barnacle on it?"
I don't know which one had the barnacles on him.
Did you guys dump the one who had the barnacle on it already?
No, it's the dwarf.
Is that what he's holding? Are you holding a dwarf? I can't really see properly. It's a bit dark.
He is as heavy as a dwarf, so I'd assume so.
Right.
Durgus
Fine,
is
if you
really
want to keep one, fine, but just throw something over it.
Yeah, I guess. Well, you go ahead.
She was gonna go look around, see if she got anything, but no. Why don't you just throw your coat over it?
Actually, I've got a one moment, and Brandon takes off his bag, starts going through his rucksack a bit, and just throwing things onto the floor, trying to get to the bottom quickly, and pulls out a big parcel tied up, which is actually a 2-man tent, and dumps it on the floor and goes, "Just wrap him up in that."
A tent. Oh yeah, this won't look like any body snatchers you've ever seen.
I'm sorry, the person who wants to keep the body is having a go at me for wanting to keep the body.
No, just the way it's wrapped. Oh, let's get on with it.
And Baron would put the body in the tent and kind of just roll it up. Like an old rug. Just
Tie
as
it
you
with
create,
twine.
as you create this corpse burrito, throughout the whole exchange and the whole kind of procedure, Geronimo doesn't come back. However long this takes, a few minutes, Geronimo just, like he said, "I'm going to go investigate," and now he's gone.
You guys heard anything from the little fella?
No, not seen him since he went to investigate.
Great. Well, we've got rid of the bodies, at least most of them, and he sort of peers up towards the now the wrapped up body being hoisted up by Baron, which he wishes he could jump up and grab. Shall we head the same direction? Just try to keep your feet on the
Aye.
ground, sticky like.
Try to find him. Hopefully he's not gotten himself into more trouble.
Well, we didn't hear a scream. He's not that bad, I guess. And he goes down to sort of extinguish the torch in the sand, sort of snubbing it out before sort of leaving the remains by the pier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, easily enough done. And as you guys begin to make your way back up in the direction that Geronimo had run off, you all begin to hear, getting louder and louder, that slow, repetitive thunk of someone shoveling dirt and throwing it over their shoulder. Eventually, as you get closer back towards the tavern where you started, you two pick out the shape of what first is just a humanoid. Then you recognize it as someone standing in front of some boxes, shoveling the dirt. And then as you get close enough, and they've stopped shoveling to look at you, you recognize Palmer standing with a shovel over his shoulder, standing next to those 3 kind of footlocker crates, having dug a fairly sizable hole.
Seeing this, Durgus is going to squat down, trying to lower himself, as he quite frantically gestures for the others to do the same. He goes, "Do you bloody see that? I think he's burying Geronimo."
Just a reminder that this occurred, like you recognizing him, occurred as he saw you. So he's staring at you as you lower down and begin to whisper.
Well, I mean, can he fit in one of those crates? Maybe he chopped him up in 3 parts. Well, that's very fast, isn't it?
I mean, there must be some sort of efficient killer. I don't think we have much of a choice. And with this, he pulls around his bow, and you see as he quite quickly notches an arrow.
No.
Oh, I just shoot his foot so he can't run away.
As you
Ask the man.
As you see the bow, or as Palmer sees the bow, there is a yelp as he throws himself down to the floor, crawling behind the boxes for the best cover he can create for himself.
With all of that kicking off, Baron is probably just gonna walk up to approach Palmer.
Yeah, nothing's stopping. As you get closer, you can see Palmer's legs shaking as he huddles down behind the box. His kind of shock of red hair being slicked back as he looks uncomfortable and clearly wants to get away.
He just looks down to him. Get up, Palmer. It's been a long night. We're not gonna hurt you.
What?
Get up,
Doug
Palmer.
is quickly running up with his bow and arrow in hand, aiming it towards him.
But he has a bow.
The Baron looks back to Durgus and just kind of looks at him with a bit of a deadpan expression.
What did you bloody do to Geronimo?
What?
What did you do to him? And he sort of peers down into the hole.
You mean the gnome?
But
He was crawling around in the mud, so I asked him what he was doing. He said he went for a walk for some fresh air on his own. I said it stank of fish. He said it smelt better than the tavern. And then he went back to the tavern.
So, what's with the hole then? I mean, what are you digging for?
The berry stuff.
Stuff.
Why are you
sort of
out this
hide-
late?
Well, just trying to stop the murder happening over at the beach, which you definitely have heard.
Murder? No, I don't know nothing about no murder.
Durgus, he looks at him in disbelief. Yeah. Can I try to see if perhaps he's telling a little fibby?
Natara's just gonna
Another insight check. Go for it.
Natara's just gonna stare blankly at Durgus as he goes talking about the and the Pact of the GM strikes again.
For the GM.
Never.
9.
Never
You look at
will.
him. He looks very confused and afraid, though you imagine he's probably afraid of you still holding your bow.
Yeah, and he doesn't lower the bow for now, and he sort of moves towards the boxes. Oh, what's in here?
Water and some rations.
And he goes to drop the bow and arrow quite bluntly, just dropping him onto the ground as he picks it up and tries to give it a bit of a shake to gauge if he hears the slosh of water.
You don't hear the slosh of water, but as you shake it, you feel the heavy movement of what is perhaps a couple of water skins as the water moves around kind of inside of them. You get that kind of slow rolling effect that happens when you move, say, water balloons around.
Okay, and are these things like nailed shut, or can they be opened?
No, it's got a little latch on the front. You could flick that back fairly easily.
Yeah, and he's gonna flick it back and peer on inside.
And to your horror and disbelief, there are 3 water skins in there.
Rather disgruntled, he then moves towards the next and does the same.
Oi, what are you doing? I told you, water and rations.
Why are you burying water?
Well, that was what I was paid for.
By who?
The headsman. He gives me a little bit of money every once in a while and asks me to come bury some just basic water and rations out here.
Seems a bit strange, doesn't it?
Well, of course it does, but money's money, and
Can't
every
fault your
few days
logic
it gets freshly dug up, and I assume it's gone because I've always buried it the same place, and I've never run into my boxes before.
Does he write to you, or does he come to you in person?
He sends that tiefling of his.
there. Oh yeah, the barber, and she makes
Yeah.
quotation marks around her head.
Yeah, mighty strange that one, but certainly a sight for sore eyes.
Did You say every few days you do this.
Every few days, yeah.
Any chance you know when it disappears? Might be a bit of a stretch.
No, I don't stay to look. I just, do it. And then sometimes when I'm round the village, I notice that it's been freshly dug up after me, which means it's probably gone. And then, as I said, when I bury a new set, I don't run into my old stuff.
Let's just look around. Whereabouts in the village are we? Like, what buildings are near us?
So basically, how the village is set up is it kind of is in a U shape against the coast. The buildings being the U, and in the gap between the buildings and the coast, there is just kind of this muddy field that is most often used for pulling boats up onto when they need repairing and things like that. You are on the end of that field closest to the buildings, just a kind of 20 or 30 feet away from the entrance to the tavern. So you're kind of central in the village, though not particularly within the premises of any one building.
Is somewhere within reason that we can think from our rooms we can look out and see?
Durgus specifically was able to see across this field from his room. When mentioned, did Durgus have a window? Yes, his window looked right out across this.
That seems strange. Odd choice to bury it, but I suppose there's no harm in it.
Palmer, have you ever heard of anyone talking about the tides, and not in the sense of the sea coming in or going out?
Tides? Oh, actually, speaking of that tiefling, she mentioned it once. Said something about the tides of time, the tides of change. Because I was asking where she was from, see? Wanted to know. And she made some big spiel about, all life bringing her here and all death bringing her elsewhere, and it was all a bit nonsense, really. I told her as much. She didn't look very impressed.
Look, I feel that we're beating around the bush a bit here. Look, Palmer, you seem to be an honest man, at least better than a majority of people here. The headsman, he's just been ordered he's ordered his little militia to go and, I'll put it bluntly, kill that fisherman friend of yours. What was his name again?
Belloc.
Belloc.
What?
Hey, and his body's down on the beach, just been killed by that half-orc and that dwarf, the ones hired by this bloody henchman.
Belloc's dead?
He
No.
damn well is.
No, why would they do what? He looks genuinely shocked.
We tried to save him, but by the time the cultists that killed him...
But you came from the same way that gnome came. And he said you were just going for a walk. He didn't even say he was with you.
We heard Belloc, and by the time we got to him, he was already gone.
That's not what the gnome said.
Ignore what the gnome said. He was trying to...
Because he thought he thought that you were with them lot. I mean, digging a grave to bury bloody Belloc in.
What lot?
The damn cultists who killed Belloc.
What cultists?
They were chanting something about the tide.
Look, the half-orc and that dwarf who tend to regulate in the tavern, I mean, you talked about them briefly to us. I mean, they're part of this militia and clearly part of this cult as well. And they go around bloody killing everyone who, disagrees with the headsman. Look, we've got proof. But have you seen his handwriting before?
He takes a look at the note, pauses and frowns. Maybe. And I need you to give me a persuasion check.
Maybe my ass. Dude, we're gonna kill Belloc as well. Fuck it. This man's in on it. Not
You mean
Belloc,
Palmer?
Palmer. Yeah.
Belloc.
Belloc's already dead.
Can I do it with advantage maybe?
No.
Fuck. Orange Jesus, hear my prayer. We've been at odds and ends sometimes, but sometimes, I really need you to pull out for me. No, that's not bad. That's not bad. That's not
Okay.
bad.
16. His eyes flash up to you after having said maybe. And then he looks back down at the note. Looks like some of the orders that the headsman might have sent me sometimes, but he's not the only one with fancy handwriting.
Well, not to this, I mean, I can't write this fancy either. I doubt you can, well, not to offend or anything, but it's either him or the bloody tiefling who's ordering all these murders. I wouldn't be surprised if you're next after you've been doing this dirty work for him.
What? No. What? His eyes start to go wide.
He's going around killing people who are clearly intervening in his sort of master plan, at least him or the tiefling.
Aye.
And if you've been doing this for him, then, you're sort of a loose end and he's going to probably come to you next. So how about we, rally who we can, those you trust, and we walk to his bloody house and deal with this right here, right now.
You talking about attacking the headsman?
Not attacking.
Confronting.
Aye.
We have proof here, and he kind of readjusts the body that's resting on his shoulders in the tent.
I don't want no business messing with no headsman.
Well, he's been killing people. He's gonna kill more people. You know the tabaxi.
Yes.
Have you seen what happened to him?
No.
Well, he's been beaten up like very,
He looks
very
like a bloody
badly.
shaved cat.
I'm surprised he's still alive.
There's not much I can do, though. I'm just one person.
Yeah, but one person and one extra person. Eventually you get many people. And what's the headsman gonna do if the whole town's against him? He can't just get away with murdering people.
The whole town isn't against him. The whole town
Yeah.
likes him.
Well,
Because they're scared of him.
or he's got them under some kind of spell. These people, they were chanting. And this fella, she points up to the one Baron was telling, had some kind of, like, sea creatures growing on him.
What fellow? You've got a fella in there. And as he says that, he backs away a couple of steps, slips in the mud, and falls flat on his ass.
Palmer, we're
Look,
not...
if you want to be a coward,
They're clearly just. It's been a long night. They're just having a bit of a joke with you, partner. Don't worry. We're just having a bit of a laugh. And he looks at Natara and just kind of throws his hand across his neck, saying, "Don't," mouthing the word "stop."
I don't want to. I don't like your jokes. I'm gonna go home. And as he says that, he begins to push himself slowly back along the mud, clearly checking to see if you're gonna try and attack him or grab him or do something against him while he tries to extricate himself.
Go on, Palmer, go home.
Just,
unlock the bloody door.
yeah.
The moment he gets clearance to go, he spins in the mud with a squelch, pushes himself up, slipping over as he goes and landing flat on his face, before just arms and legs kick out almost like a dog, and he just hauls himself up and sprints off in the direction of where his shop is.
While he manages to sprint up, Natasha's going to say, "Be careful. Look after yourself."
There is absolutely no response. He is too busy getting the hell out of Dodge.
Right. Oh dear, our reputation has just gone down the gutter.
We can't
Yeah,
lie
well,
to people. We need to be honest. How else are we going to stop this from happening?
It's honest. Everyone keeps on speaking about honest. How do we convince them that we're not lying? We may be telling the truth, but they don't know that. All we know is 5 strangers walked into town and then people started dying.
People were already dying before we walked into town.
Look, clearly they're all cowards, otherwise they would have done something about this before.
Aye.
I mean, if
point
anything,
out-
we should be lucky we've come across, because we're going to bloody handle this, and I say we handle it right here, right now.
I am not arguing with you about the morality or whether or not we are right or wrong. I am merely stating, from their point of view, that we are not helpful at the moment.
Sorry, go on.
Oh, sorry. I mean, go ahead.
Whilst you're having this new argument about the morality of what you're doing and how to approach negotiating with these kowtowed villagers, Geronimo, we're going to go back in time again. You've just met with Palmer and had a very awkward confrontation in which you've walked around each other, and now you've returned to the tavern. Are you up to anything in particular?
Geronimo is going to try and sneak back out and avoid everyone else and go back to the others, because in his mind, they're still there on the beach.
Okay, give me a stealth check.
Oh god.
Here we go.
Is that it?
No.
With an 11? Okay, so...
Better than the 10.
Yeah, Geronimo, you take a bit of a scenic route, if you will, because you know that Palmer's out there somewhere, and you don't want to just go back out the door you just walked in. That's way too obvious. So you go back to your room, you go to the window that you probably fixed up for your room, unhook it, let yourself out, and begin to skulk. Now, you are a sleuth. You are a raccoon. You are a cat in the night. You make no sound, you are seen by nobody, and the shadows cling to you. At least this is what you think. As you begin to circle through some of the buildings, your confidence builds, and you decide, hey, I've got this. I'm pretty small. I can do this. And so you move yourself to the outside of the field and begin to head more in a diagonal, direct direction down to the beach, where you know your friends definitely are still. You don't notice that your friends have in fact left the beach and are now up talking to Palmer. And you're skulking down and you don't hear all this going on. You get down there and your friends are just gone, as are the corpses, except for a pair of boots which are just poking out of the water down the pier.
All right, and this is just all I see.
That's all you see. That's all you know.
Geronimo's going to stand there and scratch at his chin and go, huh, I swears they would here. And he's going to backtrack now and go back up the way. Actually, you know what? No, instead, Geronimo's going to look for footprints and see if any of them
Give me a survival check.
Oh my god, here we go. Come on, baby.
Wisdom.
The Adventures of Geronimo.
12.
With a 12? There's a lot of footprints. Some of them your own, some of them other people's.
Okay. Geronimo's gonna try and just go back the way he came. He's like, he's thinking they must have left. So
Okay.
and it must have missed them as he tried to come back that way. So,
Okay, so as you begin to retrace your steps in how you got here, the rest of you are still arguing about what you're going to do when Natara, whilst this argument is ongoing, you spot Geronimo over by the buildings on the other side of the field, hunkered down, trying not to be seen.
There he is, she says and gestures towards him. Stop your bickering, Geronimo's over there. She'll like put up a hand and like come over here, kind of signal him.
can I see that?
Yeah, you can see it if you want.
Geronimo kind of like notices her and kind of like looks around and then kind of points to himself as if like, oh, what, me?
Natara nods.
And he does that thing where, you know, kind of like drat kind of thing, where he kind of moves his hand in that sort of gesture, sort of like, oh, he's been spotted. And he kind of skulks his way back over to the field and goes, hey, I tried to find you guys, but you seem to have left the beach.
Well, we went to find you. We thought
Hey,
we
where'd
found...
you go?
Yeah, I came here and I saw Palmer, and he was burying something, and then I panicked a little bit, so I was like, hey, let's not mention anything.
Hey, Durkers thought he chopped you into pieces and put you in the boxes.
I can understand why. I mean, it's totally possible. I could definitely fit in those boxes.
Well, that's besides the point. We've talked to Palmer. He's working for the headsman, at least in terms of he pays him money and he buries rations, which, you know, go missing. So, you know, he's not part of the culty type.
He ran up scared.
What we are going to do now is walk up to the headsman's house, you know, confront the bastard and his weird tiefling girlfriend. You know, maybe talk to Razim on the way, get her to, you know, hide in some sort of room until they all come out, you know, knocking for her. And we're going to deal with the bastard.
What's your obsession with that, like, gnome lady? She looks at Durkis.
Well, I'm sorry, but I want to try and keep people safe.
I don't think we should go do that. Mostly because of the fact that we gotta convince people we're useful. I feel.
Well, we got a dead body here with us.
Oh, I'm sorry, and you thought that was a good idea, if I recall correctly.
Ah, you did do that.
What?
Okay, whatever you guys want to do, I don't mind.
Look, well, clearly, Baron is, you know, using big words and stuff. Natara, I don't know what's going on in your head. So, do what you want, but I'm gonna go deal with this bastard if you also want to come with me or not.
That's why I've got the body.
Good. Well, at least two of us
Why?
have brains. And then he
Come
begins
with
to
you.
march off.
We might as well go, at least that way we can stop him from getting himself killed. Maybe.
Hopefully.
In which case, as you tramp your way up through the mud, heading towards the tall structure that is the headman's house, you notice that there is a vast difference to the building that you had seen earlier. The fires are still alight, and it is still the nicest building in the village. But the doors are now firmly shut. As you approach them, you can see two fairly thickly set double doors that appear to have been closed for the evening. Apparently they are not accepting public business right now in these wee hours.
Okay. Durgus is gonna pause briefly, though still walking. Goes, right, so what do you want to do? Shall I cut that thing down, or should we knock on the door? Or maybe, throw me through the window. You
Wait,
probably
we
do that,
could
couldn't you, Baron?
Leave the body on the doorstep with a note saying, "We know what you did." She says,
What
clearly
do we-
sarcastically.
Well, I mean, I don't really know why you have the body. I mean, that was Baron's idea, and I think it was yours as well. Maybe throw it at them,
It
some
was
sort
a
of like
joke.
fear tactic.
It was a joke.
Yes,
What
well,
do
you're
you
not
want to
very
do?
funny.
What do you want to do with the body?
He peers towards Baron.
Well, I would kick the door in, but that would make matters worse. We should
Aye.
at least...
How about
Yeah,
knocking?
we can knock on the door and
It's a very
Like I said-
controversial choice.
plead ignorant. We found the body and we're returning it. It seems to be one of his militia.
Oh,
Oh, I see we
we could
confront
do
somebody
that.
outright. Who's
Well,
got the letter?
No. I like Baron's idea that we play innocent, that we found it. We heard some noise, went out to sea, and we found this dead one here. So we brought him here.
Oh. Okay, I can see that working.
Found Bellic dead, and we found this one.
Let's
So-
keep it simple, not overcomplicated.
Yeah, but why
What,
would
so
we bury
when do we
Bella?
strike him then?
Just stop hitting people.
He's
We
ordering
just say
people to be killed.
we don't know that yet. We just say we found a body.
What did they do? Did you not hear Palmer? I mean, he said that he
Very-
recognized the handwriting at least.
Baron's
Okay,
going to
let's-
knock the door.
Somebody just
There
kicked
is a
Durgus.
loud thud, thud, thud as the door is knocked upon, following another extended argument about your future plans. For a moment, nothing happens. And then very faintly and growing brighter, you begin to notice in the cracks around the door, on the edges, a growing light. Eventually there's a loud clunk as a locking bar is pulled back. The door opens a fraction, and the very bleary-eyed, but still quite perky youth who had welcomed you, I suppose the day before, peers up, holding a torch in one of his hands. He begins rubbing with one fist as if trying to clear the dust from his eyes. Hello? Oh. Yes?
We need the headsman. We found a body.
Or do you... what?
What we can assume is one of his militia.
It seems as if that second statement actually finally connected the dots for this young boy. And he goes, hang on a moment. And he turns without even shutting the door behind him, and you hear the pad, 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 thud, thud, thud as he runs off down the corridor. There's a loud clunk as he opens the door at the other side, and then a thunk as he pulls it shut behind him. And once again, you're left alone for a minute or so.
Baron's going to step in.
Yeah, the corridor is as you remember it, pretty much. Public sitting area. There's some benches for retainers or people to sit to await their patronage.
Is there
The door-
any? Is there any storage, like bookshelves or something like that, or maybe some
Not in this area, no. A minute later, you hear the approaching of more feet, and the door at the far end of the corridor is pushed open as the young lad pushes open and welcomes in the headsman, who is dressed in a very long, very uncomfortably tight-fitting dressing gown. It's almost as if he's wearing a large cotton body condom very unattractive given his ungainly, robust stomach, which hangs forwards, and his total lack of any real bone features anywhere. Behind him, still dressed quite impeccably in a long flowing robe with kind of puffed out, ruffed shoulders, is the tiefling Felia. He marches up to you almost Scrooge style with the candle on a tray held in one hand. What is the meaning of this? A body? One of my militia, I was told.
We found quite the scene. So, we heard a scream by the beach. We went down to the beach to make sure no one was hurt, and we found this body. We found Bellic dead, and we also found some what you could assume to be incriminating evidence next to this body. And with that, he placed the body, he's got a desk, doesn't he?
Not in the area you're in, no.
Oh, okay.
You're in the corridor, so you can just dump it on the floor.
Yeah, he'd probably put it on one of the benches.
Okay. He peers over, steps forward, lifts up his very pudgy hand, adjusts some of the tent, sees the body, then lets it drop. Evidence? What incriminating evidence? Of what? You haven't given me any kind of events. You've just said you've collected some bodies and dead people.
Who's got the note as he looks out to the party?
Geronimo would pull the note from his bag and offer it to Baron.
Yeah, and Baron would take it forward and offer it towards the headsman.
The headsman would take it, read over it very quickly, his face increasing with concern as he gets further down the very short note. He then offers it to Felia, who also takes it and begins to read as he continues to speak. And who exactly did you find the note on?
Well, we found it next to this one here, and he points to the body in the tent.
I see. I admit, I recognize him. He was one of the men that worked in the militia. But this note, the attack on Bellic, if everything is as you say it was, it's deeply concerning. I mentioned before that our recruitment was not exactly the most rigorous. It seems we need to be more so in the future.
We did find someone on the way.
Hmm.
They were interested in what we were doing, because obviously walking through the streets with a large tent body isn't normal.
As you say that, Felia cuts in and says, "Yes, and I was wondering the same thing."
What, that it wasn't normal?
No, what you were doing with it.
What do you mean? We've taken it from the beach and brought it here.
She now turns her attention to their headman and says, "Argo, how do we know they're telling the truth?" And as she says that, I think we're gonna call this session there.
My life.
Yeah, dun dun dun.
I was this close to throwing an axe at her. My
I'm
God.
sure you were pretty damn close to throwing an axe at everyone.
Everything that moved.
Yep. But we've called it to close a couple of minutes early tonight, only so that I can go through level up. It's level 1. We go through this pretty damn quickly. You guys had a little bit of fighting. You did some little bit of skill checks, some puzzles and whatnot. That's level 2 for me.
Oh,
Nice.
Hell.
So we are going to be at level 2 going forwards.
how do we do this?
How do we do this? We can do that off stream some point.
Yeah.
I think the only things to go through on the stream is checking if there's any questions, and if there are none, which I hope there are none because we're so fantastic and self-explanatory.
Oh, yeah.
Wishing everyone
Totally.
very, very well and seeing ourselves off for the night.
I think so.
Yeah,
Yep.
so if there are any questions, please put any of them in the chat. We have a couple of minutes here before we go offline. We hope you have enjoyed our little show. Certainly, we apologize for the technical issues in the middle. PCs are finicky things, and we hate them. But we also love them because they allow us to do this. So, seeing as nothing has immediately popped up and I've been talking extensively, that was awesome. Thank you very much. Then, no questions here. Great stream today. Looking forward to the next week. Again, more fantastic praise. Thank you guys. If you enjoyed, feel free to share us. You can join our Discord, where hopefully we can get together. Well, our dream is a nice little community. We might run some kind of one-shots, a few mini adventures and stuff in there in the future if we get some people together. Also, feel free to talk about D&D, welcome newcomers.
Or anything.
Yeah, and we will hopefully see you all next week. Okay?
Alrighty.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye. We're all waving. We're all waving.
Yeah, we're
Bye.
going.
There you go. When does this end? When does the stream stop?
When does the stream stop?